And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited tonight to welcome two extraordinary authors and the editor and guest editor of the Best American Mystery and Suspense 2023 series, Lisa Unger and Steph Cha, to the show tonight. Welcome, ladies, to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you for having us on, Sara. And Steph, it's so great to see you. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this amazing, iconic collection and for making it so easy by doing literally everything and all the and all the heavy lifting. But so you talk about it, Steph, because you are the goddess of the Best American Mystery and Suspense.
Yeah, well, thank you to both of you. So, I've been doing this for 3 years now. I'm the series editor, which means I'm the one who goes through the piles of submissions and goes out and finds anthologies and, all those stories that nobody bothers submitting to me for whatever reason. And I call through those and I pick about 50 of my favorites, my personal favorites, and then I send them to my guest editor. In a lot of ways, picking the guest editor is it's one of the harder parts of the job because, the people who have edited this series are just they're all the biggest household names and all those people are really busy. So I was really honored that Lisa agreed to edit. She had a story in the first anthology that I edited and it was just so good. And, and it was a pleasure to work with Lisa. We got to meet once in person at a bar and it was really fun. And
it was fun. We could have stayed a lot longer than we did.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am so excited to hear how you both worked together on this and to get the inside scoop and to talk about some of these crazy stories. We're talking about a murderer and kidnapper who delivers a baby. I mean, we are talking about stories that take place in different parts of the world. We have so much to talk about. And I can't wait to get into every delicious detail. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who's watching with us live because we are broadcasting to 6 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So, hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, this is the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday because Mondays can be murder. We're going to make them a little less painful for you. So we are kicking off with these two killer authors tonight. And if you've been here before, you know the drill. Just get those questions going in the comments. And if you're new, welcome, friends. We are so happy to have you. So I'm going to jump right into the comments. So joining us from Facebook, we have Wendy, aka Catch a Clue. Hey, Wendy, so great to see you. We have Randy joining us from YouTube. He says, hi, all. Tori, I was home. Wish I was home watching with you. Yay. Tori saying, welcome. Joining us from YouTube. Look at that cute little kitty. Hi, Tori. Great to have you here tonight. Renee joining us from Facebook saying, hi, Sara, Lisa, and Steph from Southeast Florida. Hi, Renee. Welcome to the conversation. We're so excited to have you. So let's kick off with the basics. So Steph, you are the editor of the series. You cull the internet, the archives. You are an archaeologist just combing, digging for treasure of short stories. Why do you like short stories? Why do you love them? Tell us about everything. Oh my gosh, we have a little guest editor.
Yeah, I saw his hand. I was like, oh, she could have put him on camera, of course.
Sorry, it's a little chaotic here right now, and he was just about to attack the keyboard. Sorry. That was some live action from a 13-year-old who did not help me pick these stories. So I have, and by the way, there's an email address, bestamericanmysterysuspense@gmail.com, where I kind of collect submissions. And, a few years in, I definitely have editors who know kind of to where to send stories. And I end up getting enough submissions that it feels like a good sampling. And I will take, I'll get one author in an anthology will submit one story and I'll go out and find that anthology and I'll check out all the stories, or I'll have, I kind of know the publications that consistently publish mystery and suspense stories. And so I seek those out. And, I read all the Akashic Noirs cover to cover pretty much. And the Alfred Hitchcock and Ellery Queen, I go through those. And, I can't read every word of every story. That would be pretty impossible. I don't have anyone helping me. As you saw, I have not only that one, but I have a 3-year-old too. So, so I go through and I kind of pick the ones that feel promising, and I read those all the way through. And I end up keeping them in like a Excel document, and I have them tiered. Once in a while I'll see something that's like, okay, my guest editor needs to see this right now. Most of them, it's like I kind of have to sit with for longer, and so I end up choosing about 50 to send to my guest editor, and those will be my favorites. And all 50 of those end up in the collection, in that there's like there's this section of other distinguished mystery and suspense stories. And I'd highly recommend, if you're a reader of these short stories, to go find those other 30, because, there are just some really fantastic stories in there too. But yeah, that's kind of how I go about it.
So, Steph, when you have that moment of, oh my God, I have to send this to the guest editor right now, I can't wait. What is it that makes a story pop to you like that? What is it that catches you, makes you come alive, and you have to send it to Lisa right now? I can't wait.
It's a little bit, when you see it, like, and it's not always the same thing. I would say that all these stories have some element that gave it like a lot of pop. That story that you mentioned, by the way, when we remember Zion, I mean, that was such an incredible story on like, from like a publication I'd never heard of before, and from an author I'd never heard of before, like a young guy who wrote this just like incredibly vivid, well-imagined short story. And for me, it has a lot to do with the prose. I would say that is something that I read for. If something is holding me on a sentence level, I'll put up with a lot. But, I also look for, great voice and story development. What's interesting about the short story form is like, for readers who are used to all the satisfactions of a mystery novel, it's really hard to get those into, a few thousand words. And so so stories that do give you that satisfaction, I'm always really impressed by. I think that on a craft level, that's really difficult to pull off. So I do love those, just stories that feel complete and not just like a snippet, but that is not at all a requirement. I mean, because I like things that just feel like a little bit of a really strong vignette too. Yeah, I mean, I just say anything that has like a sticky quality where, I'm just gonna think about this for a while, and where I'm just impressed that the author, pulled something off, and it's when I'm struck by just one of those elements of craft, I think, that these stories really get elevated.
Well, clearly, a thing or two about sticky quality and what makes great writing. Steph Cha, as the author of the Juniper Song Mystery Series and Your House Will Pay, which of course won the LA Times Book Prize for Best Mystery and Thriller, and was nominated for the Young Lions Fiction Award, McCavity Award, a Lefty Award, a Barry Award, a Dagger Award. I could go on and on. So it is so great to hear from your your discerning eye and award-winning eye, what is it that grabs you? Because I think that really is fascinating to me. Lisa, over to you. When Steph sends you those 50 voicey, sticky quality stories, what then grabs you and says, oh my God, these are the 20, these, I have to cut this in half, and these are the ones that I cannot part with. What grabs you?
Yeah, it's interesting because I also judge a literary award for kids in my area, and it's usually short fiction that gets submitted to me. And so like when I do that, I kind of, I don't look at anything. Like I don't want to know who the author is. I don't want to know, anything about the person who wrote the story. I just want to have that reader joy on the page. Like I think, and I mentioned this a little bit in my introduction, like, as a writer, you spend like all your time, writing, but you were a reader first, right? Like every writer was a reader first. And there was, this kid who was like under the covers with their flashlight, like reading past, lights out. And so when I get that experience of reader joy, where I just start reading, and like Steph says, it is, often just the sentence level. Like I don't, it's like if that is like immediately gripping and beautiful, and I can open a doorway and then kind of walk into that and lose myself and lose whatever else I was thinking about before I started writing, then that is a big, that's a big piece of it for me. And, of course, the writers, some of the places where the writers in this anthology took us were, pretty wild. Like we went into tunnels under the city, and we went into space, and we went to the Virgin Islands, and every story in here is different. And it's like every story has like an electricity of, character and place and suspense that, kind of unified to create this really intense experience. And so that's kind of what I was looking for, that vibe, that feeling, because, when Steph, presented me with these 50, they were already the best, right? Like choosing from that group was impossible, which is why, I think it's definitely, I'll just repeat what Steph said already about making sure you go to the back also and try to find some of the short stories that are listed in the back of the book as well, because there wasn't anything that I read that I didn't think, wow, this is really great, really good. But they're just the ones that we did pick were, just, that much more transporting in whatever way, in whatever moment.
Oh my gosh. I am soaking in this conversation, and I am loving this. And oh my goodness, award-winning author Tracy Clark has joined the chat. Hi, Tracy. She says she cannot wait for this conversation. Tracy, we're so happy to have you here. Yay. Renee is saying she wants that little cutie pie to come back on screen. Steph Cha. We want to see the Bassets. We're here for the Bassets and the babies. John joining us from Northeast Ohio. John, welcome to the conversation. Great to have you here. Renee wants to know, is this the first a short story book that you have both put together? If not, how many have you done together?
This is the first for us together working on a project. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Lisa was a contributor on an earlier anthology, and actually so was Tracy. I think Tracy was in last year's, so I think this is the third one that I have done, and there's a different guest editor each year. Mm-hmm. And by the way, be careful what you wish for, because the Bassets and the babies can be very loud. Both,
and they're coming. They're slowly approaching from all directions.
I'm muted when I'm not talking because I just hear the clackety clack clack
of their little toenails. Oh my god, I love that. I love that. So we're getting some questions on craft, and I'm wondering that as well. So for instance, some people in the chat are saying, what actually is a story? Renee saying, how many words are required, and what is the max reach story? Yeah, I don't think any of us know this, or a lot of us don't know this. Can you tell us a little more?
There's a reason that I didn't put any kind of word count guidelines, because I think that, a great story on, a great 500 word story, a great 10,000 word story, are not like out of the question. I'd say they both have to be probably particularly strong. Like, for instance, Lisa's story from the first anthology I edited. I'm not, Lisa, do you remember how many words that was? I mean, it was long.
I was just thinking about that. I'm thinking it was probably close to 20,000 words.
Okay, it was really
a little bit over. I have a lot of words in general. Like,
it was so good. I mean, the threshold, I will say, for a story that's going to be like a significant percentage of the page count is definitely higher. I think that might be the longest we published. Although this year, the Joyce Carol Oates is pretty long.
Yes, that is pretty long. Yes, and I think that
those are outliers.
A good point that it does, there have been stories that I have read that were maybe 8 or 10,000 words, stories that I've read that are longer. It really isn't about a word count. And when it comes to short story, it is really about like sort of the orb, like the universe that is created within the pages. And sometimes it takes, more words in my case, and sometimes it takes
Relatable. Relating.
words. But I think that, it's just kind of, enjoying that story for what it is. Like that word count is part of the universe of the story.
Yeah, I would also say that on the shorter end, there's a lot of flash fiction out there. I have yet to find like a real like flash piece that has like
Right.
not like, just to be totally honest, none of the flash pieces have made it into the larger anthology.
Right.
But I also get fewer of those submissions, so I am like open to reading those. And I'm always happy to read something short. But
I don't know what that is. What's a flash story?
Oh, just something that's really short, like a 500 word, 1,000 word story. It's just I do find that it's harder to create a story that feels like that is able to compete with like a more fleshed out story, or like 50 of them. But it's not that they're not eligible.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think it's very difficult to, craft is of the essence in all things, a novel and short story. And I think it's very difficult to capture character, suspense, place, and, create some type of feeling for the reader in a very short amount of time. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think that, you do need some real estate, I think, to really get to the meat of character and story.
Well said. I need a lot. Diane joining us from YouTube saying good evening, Sarah, Lisa, and Steph. Good evening, Diane. So great to have you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Diane would like to know, what mystery and or suspense are you all currently reading? Steph, let's kick off with you.
Well, so actually, I just finished judging for the National Book Award. So that started as soon as I finished reading for this volume. So I have just been reading all year.
Wow.
So I'm kind of, I decided to take a little bit of a breather. So I've been reading for like over a month this Japanese novel, because I read in Japanese, but I read really slowly. It's called Journey Under the Midnight Sun, I think is the English title. It's Keigo Higashino, and it's like really good and it's really fun. And I'm about to read Ben Fountain's new book because I will be interviewing him tomorrow. So, on Wednesday. So I think that it's called The Devil Makes Three. And I think that comes out, or no, it just came out.
Wow. And what about you, Lisa? What are you reading?
Well, I always have like 5 books going. Like I'm like that kind of reader. Like I'm always reading like between like, fiction, nonfiction, sort of, I'm a literary omnivore. Like I will read anything, as long as there's like, some kind of electricity to it that I want. I'm currently reading. I went to an event at my local independent, one of my wonderful local independents, Tom Below Books. Jennifer McMahon, I'm a longtime fan of her work. I don't know. It would be difficult to classify it. I guess you might call it horror. So this is like a perfect choice for spooky season. But she is just really, she's an excellent writer, sentence for sentence. She's just really very focused on her craft. She gets better with every book, and her stories are always deeply unsettling on at least 3 different levels. So she checks all my boxes.
Well said, Lisa.
She always said.
Well said. I love Jennifer McMahon.
My darling girl. This is her new one. Yeah.
Yay! I'm so excited. That book just came out last week. Jennifer's so brilliant, so talented, and such a wonderful human being.
She is. She's all those things. Yeah.
Yay! I'm so happy that you're loving her new book too. Diane saying she too was that kid under the covers reading with a flashlight. Nancy Drew, especially Team Nancy. Same here, Diane. Same here. We have a mystery user dropping in to say that this is such a great talk. Thank you so much. Robin's joining us from Facebook. Hi, Robin. So great to have you here. We have another mystery friend who wants to know, what writers would you each like to have dinner with? Ooh, good question. Steph, what about you? Or Lisa, you look ready to answer.
I'd like to have dinner with Steph Cha.
Yeah.
And Sara DiVello. I wish we were all going out to dinner after this. Something's really cool.
Because Lisa, you and I like to eat. We like good food. Yeah.
And I'm lucky enough in my life and my career that all the authors that I want to have dinner with, I eventually generally get to have dinner with them, which is like kind of an amazing gift and a blessing. And I just had lunch on Friday with R.L. Stine, who has a new book out and a couple new TV series. And he was down in my area for a YA festival. And, it struck me, when we walked into the restaurant, I'm like, hanging out with Bob, and I have his book, which he, had signed for Ocean. And I put it down on the table, and the waitress was like, "Oh my God, R.L. Stine. I used to read him all the time." I'm like,
here he is.
She's like, "Oh my God." And I was, and it struck me in that moment, like, because sometimes when you've had a long career, you tend to like take some of that stuff a little bit for granted. But yeah, I've been really blessed in that way. So I will continue to have dinner, hopefully with anybody who's, willing to have dinner with me.
Oh my God. I love it. Steph, what about you? Who's your dinner guest?
I'm in the same boat. And it's like one of the best things about being an author is just being able to meet so many people I admire and share a lot in common with. And I didn't get, Lisa, did you go to BoucherCon?
No, I did not.
Okay, because I was supposed to go, I was planning to go, and then I skipped it because I was worried about COVID because I was leaving the country like the following week, and then everyone got COVID.
I think a lot of people, well, I'm not sure, but I think some people did get COVID at BoucherCon.
Yeah, no, they did. I felt kind of vindicated, but I also was so sad to miss it because I haven't been to one of these conferences in like 3 years. Oh, but Thriller Fest next year. I'm looking.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're going to be one of our spotlight guests next year at Thriller Fest, so that's going to be amazing. Yeah, I did Thriller Fest this year, but not BoucherCon because I was on deadline. That's the only reason I didn't go.
I miss these conferences. I miss seeing all my friends. I miss kind of going and hanging out at the bar and going to whatever random restaurants are near the convention center, or conference center. I miss all of that. But yeah, my R.L. Stine example would be Walter Mosley, who's in here. He has a very strange and wonderful story in here.
It's wild.
No exit.
Excellent.
Not exit. Yeah.
I love his writing, and he's an author who, I read Devil in a Blue Dress when I was a freshman in college, and it was a formative book for me. And I haven't had dinner with him. I've had lunch with him a couple of times.
So we need to go out to dinner with Walter Mosley at the next Thriller Fest, because he was at Thriller Fest this past year, and maybe he'll come again next year and we can take him out to dinner. So this is like Steph and I are issuing this invitation right now. And we will stalk you until we get a yes. So there's that.
So Walter, I've had the great pleasure of hosting Walter for his last 2 books, and my friend Jamise actually went out to lunch with Walter at Thriller Fest this year. So it's seeming very possible.
It could happen. It certainly could happen.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Renee wants to know what if somebody wants to submit? She says, where is the anthology submission posted? How do you find out when and where to submit for each year?
Well, I do have the guidelines written out in my foreword. But I think they're also on the Mariner website. If not, they should be. I'll talk to my editor about that. But basically, you can submit to that email address I mentioned, bestamericanmysterysuspense@gmail.com. And I accept submissions until the end of the year. I do read for a few months in the beginning of 2024, so it's not like I will completely close my eyes to it, but I try to get everything in by the end of the year just so I kind of know what I'm working with.
Yay. Renee, thank you for the great question. So y'all, I just want to remind you, the book drops tomorrow. So our editor and our guest editor are dropping on tonight for this exclusive pre-launch Q&A to take your most burning questions live. And the book is available for pre-order, which means the good folks at Murder by the Book, our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, will ship it to you tomorrow morning. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, here is that link. So click and pre-order. So Renee, read Steph's guidelines in her introduction. Read what makes a book pop for Lisa. She talks a great deal about how, you know, the books are how she experiences short stories and what she's looking for. So I learned a lot from reading. Oh, thanks for all the hearts up on Facebook, you guys. So grab your copy right here and immerse yourself in this incredible book. So
I will just say too, something that's really fun about the anthologies for mystery lovers, if you get your copy and they ship it to you, when you do get yourself out to book signings and conferences around the country, you can bring your book with you. And you might run into, because this happens to me a lot, you know, like I get anthologies that I've contributed to, like when people wait on my signing line and stuff, they bring that and they just want me to sign. So like if you had this, and like, you know, when you were traveling around, like going to book signings or going to conferences, you could bring this with you. And I'm sure any one of the authors that you happen to run into, and you probably will at some of these conferences, would be happy to sign their short story for you. So it's kind of like an autograph book type thing, which is really cool.
We should have a contest with who can collect signatures from every single author, and then you get a free. We'll figure out some fabulous prize, and you have a year to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Outside of Joyce Carol Oates' house. I will say there are a lot of authors in here who are you know, at the beginning of their careers, who don't have novels out yet, and you know, something that has been very rewarding for me is like seeing the people who write these short stories, you know, over and over. I think we've had like 4 or 5 repeat contributors, and it's just really cool to see, like, oh, I have definitely discovered a lot of writers who I didn't know to read before, and whose voices are just so strong. So it's a really great introduction to, you know, not only Walter Mosley and Joyce Carol Oates and Lisa Unger, but like people who you might not have heard of before, and who would be really thrilled if to hear that you enjoyed their stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that idea. I love that. Thank you. And Renee saying, what a great idea, Lisa, to bring your book around. Diane saying she loves the idea of the contest. So fun. Yeah, this is so fun. Renee saying happy early pub day to both of you and to all of these incredible contributors. Robin wants to know, is Left Coast crime of interest to either of you?
Yeah. I've always wanted to go to Left Coast crime. I have never been.
Me neither.
I think I think I've been once, and I'm thinking about going next year because it's in Seattle, I think.
Oh yeah.
And one of my best friends lives there. Yeah, no, I love Left Coast crime. It's actually, you know, and if you are thinking about going to a crime conference, you know, and you want to kind of dip your toes in, Left Coast crime is great because it's a little bit smaller. You know, I think NatraCon can be pretty intimidating if you've never been before. And Thriller Fest too. I think it's just really big, and there are a lot of huge names. Left Coast crime, you know, still gets some of the big names, but it's just like a smaller, cozier environment. And so it's like, you know, but there's still plenty to talk about and plenty of people to meet. I always enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that great suggestion, Steph. I didn't know that. That's so good to know. Diane saying, thank you, Steph. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Diane saying she loves spooky season. Diane, you're in the right place, clearly. Yay. I love this conversation. All right, I'm just making sure I'm not missing anybody's comments. Renee saying she loved that photo that you posted of you and R.L. Stine, Lisa.
It was a cute photo. It was
Lisa takes the best photos. Robin saying sometimes these events feel like we're all sitting here together having a great time together. Oh, Robin, I love that.
So nice. I love that.
That's the best. Erin saying she agrees with what Robin said. Absolutely. Renee saying absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for all of these questions, you guys. So again, I just want to remind you that the book drops tomorrow. So be sure to grab your copy tonight. So I'm going to post the link again. So no matter where you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, click and pre-order tonight, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send it to you first thing tomorrow morning. So you can absolutely enjoy, immerse yourself and through the doorway, as Lisa so astutely said. Erin saying Lisa is the selfie queen. She is the selfie queen. She takes a good.
It's a dubious distinction, but yeah, I'll take it.
I love it. Robinson, some of her favorite authors are already signed up for Left Coast Crime. Okay, I think we all have already. We already got to check that out. Renee, I've never even written a short story. Renee asking Sarah, have you ever had a short story published? I've never even written a short story, Renee. And I think part of the challenge is what both Steph and Lisa said, where I'm wordy, as Lisa claims that she is too. And so I think what both Steph and Lisa said, where you have to have an economy of words, where you have to be so quick to get to the point and pull your reader in and tell a complete story in such a compressed sort of amount of time and pages and words. It seems like an almost daunting challenge. I mean, you have to be so advanced in your craft to do that. So maybe someday, but not yet. Do either of you have any suggestions on honing that skill, getting those words,
I mean, I recently fell in love with the short story form again, because I think that's kind of, I say in my introduction, it's sort of where I fell in love with story and language in this like sort of Truman Capote book called Other Voices, Other Rooms. And it's like a collection of fiction and nonfiction vignettes. And I kind of fell in love with, I think language in general in the pages of that book. And then, of course, as a reader and aspiring writer, I would start to, I wrote a number of short stories, and they were, of course, horrible. They were like, I was a kid, and they were maudlin and, silly and whatnot. And, but, and then I kind of in college is where I found my voice. I wrote my first novel when I was 19 years old, or started it. And then I never really went back to short fiction until later in my career. And I just kind of found this place where, I feel like your novel is like this long relationship. You have these like kind of good days and bad days, and, all these like, different layers and elements to that kind of storytelling, but that a short story is like a quick burst of energy. It's like a, almost like a fling, and you can really just like, sorry, honey. And you can just disappear into that, that energy for a while. And I find that I can write short fiction and also still be working on a novel. I couldn't work on 2 novels at the same time, but I can do a short story. And it's always like a little vacation. It's a little bit of a muscle flexing. It's a little bit of a, like sort of a walk into something else that I might want to do. So it builds craft, and it's fun, and I just sort of love those short, intense relationships with those characters in those places.
Ooh, I like how you describe that as both short, intense, and a fling. This is resonating. Woo! Robin saying Vinnie Hansen writes fabulous short stories and hosts seminars on the topic. Really cool person from Santa Cruz. Okay, that's a new author to me. Thank you so much for that. Diane saying she would read a short story for me. You're very kind, Diane. Renee sharing she had a short story published once. Ages ago. Oh, very cool, Renee. I think you should submit, says Steph. You should be brave and bold. 2024 could be your year. Y'all, we are out of time. Time flies when you're having a good time. Oh my gosh, there are so many laughing faces on Facebook right now. I love it. From now on, she'll be Lisa the Fling Unger.
That's That's gonna stick. Be careful what you call me.
She went from the selfie queen to the fling queen.
The selfie fling queen.
The selfie fling queen just keeps getting better and better. Y'all, the book is out tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss this one. Get yourself a fling and order tonight so that you can get, let's all hold our books up. You can get flung. So here again is that link. Lisa, can you hold up yours too?
Oh, yeah.
You are going to, you're going to get your hands on this book. Y'all, that is a wrap for us. Erin, says, thank you so much for this excellent event. Oh, Erin, it was so great to have you. Renee says, thank you so much. Robin says, thank you. Oh my goodness. Diane says, thank you. She says, I love this weekly mystery gathering. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Renee. Diane, for being here. Thank you, Renee, for being here. Thank you all for spending your Mystery Monday with us. I hope your week is off to a killer start, and I will see you next Monday for #Mystery Monday. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.